Hey there, welcome to Mike's Collection, episode 150. I'm Mike, and the part of my collection that I'm going to be talking about today is some brand new ReAction figures. Now, these are brand new to me. These figures are actually a few years old, but if you watch my videos frequently, you know I'm a fan of Masters of the Universe. I've been posting lots of videos about the new Origins figures of Masters of the Universe recently. And I'm also a fan of ReAction figures. ReAction figures are these little figures that have 5 points of articulation. They're 3 3/4 inches tall. They're in the same kind of style as the vintage, like Kenner Star Wars figures of the 80s. So the ReAction figures have been around for a long time. They were first put out by Funko and then Super 7. And I've been buying them since they first started coming out, but I was just kind of buying a few of them here and there, just my favorites. But in more recent years, I've really got more excited about them, especially this past year. My ReAction figure collection has grown quite a bit. I'm buying like the Universal Monsters. The new G.I. Joe line has just started. I've got some of those guys in the mail right now. Probably one of my favorite ReAction figure lines is Transformers, which you can see I've got some pinned up on my wall here. So I just got a couple of new Transformer ReAction figures in the other day. This here is Hot Rod, and I've also got Galvatron here. So, as you can see, it's not like your typical Transformer figure. For one, it doesn't transform. And so some people might think, well, why would you want a Transformer figure that doesn't transform? But I actually think Transformers is the ideal toy line for ReAction figures. Even more so than all the various other brands, because me personally, what I like about Transformers is I like the look of the characters. When I watched the cartoon, I wanted toys that looked like that. But because Transformer toys have to transform, so they have all these extra bits and pieces hanging off of them, and they've got hollow compartments so pieces can fold inside of it, I never found they were great toys, especially the ones from my childhood in the 80s. They're better now. But they were very rigid and very stiff and not very articulated. So when you get these figures here, I really love that Hot Rod figure looks just like Hot Rod in the cartoon. And these guys here, I actually have them opened up. I kind of slice the side of it here so I can take the figure out of the tray. And so yeah, you can see with the 5 points of articulation, arms move up and down, the legs, forward, backwards, and the head turns a little bit. So yeah, the reason I think Transformers are ideal for ReAction figures is because if you want your Transformers to transform, there's thousands of Transformers like that. But to get a toy that doesn't transform, that just looks like the representation from the cartoon, I thought this is perfect. And, for the first time, there actually are a couple of other lines recently. Hasbro is doing what they're calling the Red series, which is non-transforming Transformers. And Super 7 has a line of Ultimates figures coming out, which are big, like 7-inch non-transforming Transformers. But these ones were the first ones out of the gate. And they're probably the easiest to collect because they're small, and so the line is already about 20 figures deep. And yeah, I really like these things. So I think they're great. It's different from the usual Transformer, and I think that's to its benefit. Now, one of the earliest lines that Super 7 produced in the ReAction figure format was Masters of the Universe. And I love Masters of the Universe, but I didn't really love the ReAction figures. I thought the vintage like card art that they come on, these little like G.I. Joe or Star Wars style packaging with the individual character on there, was really cool. But Masters of the Universe figures, they were like big, buff, these squatty little muscle men, and they just don't look right to be put in a little 3 3/4 inch skinny little figure. I just find these characters didn't look like this in any media. They didn't look like this in the cartoons or in the comic books, and they don't look like the vintage figures. So these big buff characters like He-Man just looked odd to me in the small little format. So I bought just my favorite character, Merman, and then I ended up buying one or two others. I bought Beastman and Mantenna, who's another one of my favorites. And I have these guys pinned up on my wall over here. I've never opened them up. I did not slice the side like I did on my Transformer guy there. So I just had these few Masters of the Universe ReAction figure guys up there, mostly just to display the card art because I thought it was nice. But this past summer, I bought a couple of Masters of the Universe blind boxes. So what these were, they're just a box. You don't know which figure you're getting. it's a bit of a gamble on who's going to be inside. So I got 2 of them, and one of them was this Skeletor that's painted in all like black and gray colors, so it's a little different from his standard blue and purple. And the other one was this Beastman, and this is just the standard colored Beastman, you know, with his little whip here and everything. And so these were the first Masters of the Universe reaction figures I actually held in my hands outside of the packaging, and I gotta say there was something charming about them. It kind of grew on me, and I was like, yeah, it's true they don't look like the buff muscle men they're supposed to, but I do love these characters, and I just love this format, and it kind of grew on me, and I was thinking, you know what, I might want to get some more of these. And it just so happened about 2 weeks ago, the online retailer that I do a lot of my shopping with, Big Bad Toy Store, announced that all of their Masters of the Universe reaction figures were on sale, and it was a pretty good sale price too. I think they were like 60% off or something. And I don't know why. It was specifically just the Masters of the Universe figures. But like I said, these figures have been around for a long time. It was one of the earlier reaction figure licenses, and Super 7 has actually lost the Masters of the Universe license, partly because Mattel wanted to start putting out this new Origins line that I've been collecting. So Super 7 lost the license, so these reaction figures have been sitting around for a few years now. They're probably, aren't a lot of people scrambling to get them because people's focus has shifted over to not only the Origins line, but also the Revelations line, which is new, and there's a Mega Constructs line of Masters of the Universe. So people probably aren't paying that much attention to these, but it worked out great for me because I'm just kind of getting into them, and now they're on sale. So I ordered myself a whole bunch of them, and I've got the box. It just came yesterday, and I didn't touch it because I wanted to open it with you guys here. So this box just came from Big Bad Toy Store, and so we'll take a look at all the figures, and I've decided I am going to open them all up. So first we'll take a look at them, and we'll get to appreciate the card art and all that stuff, but then I am going to slice open the sides, and I'm not sure. I might choose to just display them loose like this, or like with my Transformers, what I do is I slice them open so I can kind of play with them, and then I put them back here and I pin them on the wall like so. So I could do that with my Masters of the Universe, but I'm kind of running out of wall space here anyway, so I might actually just keep them open loose like this. But anyway, let's take a look at them. So I actually forget which figures I ordered. So, first off, we get a nice little advertisement from Big Bad. Lots of bubble wrap. They always do a good job wrapping these things up. Okay, so let's take a look. So the first figure I've got here is Anti-Eternia He-Man. So this is kind of like an evil version of He-Man. You see he's all black with red hair. And what's kind of cool about this guy is it's maybe a little hard to tell, but he's actually cast in translucent black plastic. So this will probably be easier to pick up once we get him outside of the packaging. But yeah, so that guy's kind of cool. And this is a character that I think the first version of him was in the Masters of the Universe Classics line, which I have a very big collection of Classics figures, but I don't have Anti-Eternia He-Man. He was, I think, a convention exclusive, and he was kind of expensive and hard to get. So yeah, this is my first version of Anti-Eternia He-Man ever, so that's kind of cool. And then we've got He-Man himself. So there's the man. And now you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's like, this is probably not how most of us are used to seeing He-Man, this kind of scrawny little dude. But, if you were somebody that grew up in the 80s and you always dreamed of having your He-Man interact with your G.I. Joe figures or something, it just never really would have made sense because He-Man was so much bigger and disproportionate to your G.I. Joes. But now he fits right in there with them. So great artwork. I love this artwork on these Super 7 reaction figures. On the back, you can see all the different figures to collect. So yeah, very cool. Next up, we have got Modulok. So if you're familiar with Modulok, this guy in the vintage Masters of the Universe line, he came with a whole bunch. He was like a box of spare parts. So he had like I think 6 legs and 6 arms and 2 heads, and you could kind of snap them together in different ways. So you could have this big 2-headed kind of spider-like creature, or you could have these kind of 2 separate guys. So Super 7 released Modulok in a couple of different formats. So they released him individually, so you can get both guys on their own. Then they also released him as a combined kind of freaky spider super monster. And then they also released him with green appendages individually, and the combined figure with green appendages. The reason being, I think that was like an homage to a foreign release of Modulok where he actually had green arms. But the North American release that I'm familiar with was just like the red arms and stuff. So anyway, it was very cool. So this is the one guy, and you can see his card art there. He's got this very distinct look with the big yellow eyes, and yeah, very cool. On the back of the package, you can see the other figures available in this wave, and you can see the 2 different versions of Modulok. Then I've got, this is a favorite of mine. So here is Stinkor, the Skunk Man. So again, some really great card art there. It's all very similar. It's all these guys standing in front of the path up to Castle Grayskull, but just really great stuff. And so yeah, I don't know if all these guys come with accessories, but you can see Stinkor comes with his little blue gun that he's come with, I think, in pretty much every version. So very cool. I'm excited to get him. Now this guy here, this is another Beastman. Now, you might be wondering, why did you buy Beastman? Because I already have a carded Beastman up on my wall over there, and I already have the open Beastman from the blind box. But that's just the way collecting works, I guess. Beastman is not, like, I love Beastman, but I don't necessarily consider him one of my favorite characters. And that's primarily because growing up, I collected everything with my brother Doug. And when we were kids, Doug had the vintage Beastman. So in my mind, Beastman's always kind of more like Doug's character. So, but anyway, once I have the one up on my wall, and I've got the one here, and then when I saw these were on sale, and this version of Beastman, you notice he's got this yellow armor. So it's the same figure, it's just painted differently. So he's got this yellow armor, and plus you'll notice he's got all these extra accessories. He's got these 2 extra bubbles full of just weapons and maces and axes and stuff that are different colors. Because what this figure is an homage to is back in the 80s, Mattel actually used to sell accessory packs of just accessories. One of the accessories included in the accessory pack was a yellow version of Beastman's typical like red armor. You also got like a black version of Zodak's armor. And the reason for that is, I guess they figured kids were losing stuff, taking these things out in the yard or whatever, losing their armor, losing their swords. So you got these accessory packs, which allowed you to replace them, but the colors were unique, just to make it stand out, I guess, and to make people feel that this was a justifiable purchase because it was a little different of what they already owned. So I thought this was just really cool, a little homage to the accessory pack. The back of the packaging is a little different from the other ones we've seen so far. So yeah, just a really fun figure. So now I've got 3 Beastmans in my collection. Next up is Orko. So this is the annoying little, magician wizard guy that flew around. He was He-Man's sidekick in the cartoon. To be honest, like, I've never been a big Orko fan. I don't necessarily hate Orko, but when I saw these figures were on sale on Big Bad Toy Store, I did not buy all of the ones on sale. I think Ram Man was one of the characters I passed on. Some of those Modulok variants I passed on. Orko probably would have been a figure I would have passed on. I didn't necessarily feel I needed it, even at a good price. I've got a couple Orkos in my collection in the various other formats. I didn't really need this. However, you see Orko here, like Anti-Eternia He-Man, it might not be picking up here, but he's translucent. So this is a variant compared to the original Orko reaction figure they would have put out. And Super 7 had the clear figures on sale only as a package. So I previously showed you Anti-Eternia He-Man, but in order to get Scareglow and Clear Skeletor and Clear Merman, I had to buy this whole set of 5. So the whole set was still on sale at a nice discount, But yeah, there was no way I could single out Orko. So I don't mind having him, but yeah, he was not one that I necessarily felt I needed. But still, great artwork, fun looking figure. Next up, so here is Skeletor. So this guy here, I think he is based on a foreign repaint of Skeletor. So he is in his classic kind of blue. It's a little darker blue than we're used to seeing on Skeletor, and then he's got black armor as opposed to purple. And even the way his head is painted there, so you see it's yellow with this kind of white on the on the top and the bottom, so it's like just yellow in the middle with white around the sides. So yeah, that's based on a foreign variant, I believe. And yeah, this was the only carded, like, kind of normal color Skeletor, which I kind of wanted because, as you'll see, I've got the translucent one in here, and I previously had the, this all black and gray one. But I kind of wanted a normal Skeletor since I was building this collection up so much. And this guy was as close as, as I could get because the original Skeletor reaction figure was not available. All right, next up we've got, here's the other Modulok. So, where the other guy previously had the big buggy yellow eyes, this is the other half. So he's got his own distinct, claws and his own distinct head. He's a unique character. And yeah, this card art is really cool too. It it doesn't have the path up to Castle Grayskull. I'm not sure. I think that's supposed to be the Horde Fright Zone or something like that. But yeah, very cool. Next up, Merman. So this is just like the Merman figure that I already have pinned up on my wall over there. But this one is the translucent version. So I don't know if you're picking that up, but he's cast in this translucent green plastic. So the light kind of travels through him. And it's hard for me to tell without putting them side by side. I don't know if the card art is like the drawing is the same, but the painting color might be a little different. The color might be altered to kind of match up the look of this figure a little bit better. Maybe later I'll pull him down. We'll do it side by side. But yeah, this is pretty cool. And now that I'm planning on opening all these guys up, I might open up the figures that I have on my wall already. But even if I don't, I will open this guy. So I am kind of stoked to finally have a Merman reaction figure that I can open up and kind of play with. Next up, here is Faker. So this is like the evil clone of He-Man. Now, this guy they actually had available in two different formats. There's the standard Faker, which based on the toy that I actually didn't have Faker when I was a kid, but the one that was readily available, he was just a blue version of He-Man. He had this orange armor on the top of half of him, but this one here, he's got this orange armor on the bottom half as well. So he borrows Skeletor's upper and lower armor, and he's also got this weird black like eye makeup, this black and green, which is it's hard to see on the figure, but you can see it on the card art. So if you're wondering what the deal with that is, again, this is based on a foreign repaint of the vintage figures. So in North America, we would have had Faker. He would have had orange armor on the top only, and he would have had no eye makeup. But in wherever it was, let's just say Brazil or something, where you got Faker there, he had the additional lower armor, and he had the black makeup around his eyes. So I could have bought both of them, but I thought, well, you know what? I don't need two Fakers, but I think I kind of want this one just because it's a little different. I've never had a Faker. I think this one's called Leo Faker is kind of the name that collectors have given him. So yeah, this is Leo Faker, and pretty cool. Next up is Mechaneck. So this is the heroic warrior that's got the extending neck, and these reaction figures don't typically have action features. Like the vintage He-Man figures always had a ton of action features. You spun them at the waist and their arms would punch, or stink or stunk, or you Fisto, you pull his arm back and he punches. So I'll have to see exactly what it's like when I open this guy up. But you can see Mechaneck here, especially on the back of the package, they show him with an extended neck. So I think this figure still retains the action feature of the vintage figure, which is kind of neat. So he's still just got the 5 points of articulation. But yeah, I think once I open up here, I'll be able to pull his head up. I don't know if you need to turn his waist or anything like you used to have to do with the vintage figure. I imagine you probably just pull it up. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. As I'm going through this, I'm kind of realizing there was more here than I remembered I ordered. I knew I ordered a bunch of them, but anyway, next up we've got Shadow Weaver. So this is the female member of the Evil Horde. And yeah, so she's pretty cool. And this was a character that, I never had a figure. When I was a kid, there was no vintage figure of her. It wasn't until just kind of, last few years, I guess, that we finally got a couple of versions of her. We got her in the Classics line and then in the Club Grayskull Filmation line. But hey, now we've got her again in this format, and she looks pretty cool. Great card art again. I'm running out of room over here. Next up. So this is Evelyn. And this is Evelyn based on the vintage 80s figure. Because if you're familiar with Evelyn, the figure had this very Simpsons-like yellow skin with the blue armor. But in the cartoon, she was basically kind of pale white, almost like gray skin, and her armor was more purple. So nowadays they tend to release Evelyn figures in both formats. I think ever since the 2002 Masters of the Universe line, they always put out Evelyn in both ways. So I'm pretty sure there was a light-skinned Evelyn in the ReAction figure line, but she was not available and not for sale on Big Bad's website when I bought these. So yeah, I've got the yellow version, and that's just fine with me. She looks great. Alright, we're getting there. Alright, here is Translucent Skeletor. So you see from the card art, that's more what classic Skeletor is supposed to look like. So instead of the yellow face with the white around his head, he's got green around the yellow, and he's got purple armor instead of black. So this figure represents that pretty well, but the fact that his body is translucent, you're not really getting that blue effect. He almost looks like completely clear. I think this guy is the one that's most evident that he is in translucent plastic compared to the other guys I showed you. So yeah, he looks pretty cool. And I think we got 3 or 4 more. So here's Grizzlor. So this is another member of the Evil Horde. So it's kind of a shame with this line. I guess anytime I start buying Masters of the Universe figures, there's so many characters in this line, and it's a shame when they don't get to complete them. I have a pretty good collection of Masters of the Universe Funko Pops. I probably have about 40 of them. But I doubt they'll ever get around to making the whole collection of characters. Some of them they've made convention exclusives that kind of price me out, so I can't chase them down. And I hate when I have these holes in the collection. So when it comes to these guys, the Evil Horde was kind of like the third team in Masters of the Universe. There was kind of, He-Man and the good guys, Skeletor and his evil warriors, and then you got Hordak and his evil horde. And so we've got, I've got Grizzlor here now. I've got Mantenna, as I mentioned, I already had him previously. We've got Shadow Weaver, Hordak. He's one of the figures that I think I've got still in the box here. Modulok here, he's a member of the Evil Horde. But we're missing one of the key members, which is Leech. And yeah, they did not make Leech in the ReAction figures. I'm sure if Super 7 retained the license for another year or so, Leech definitely would have been coming out. But yeah, so that's kind of a bummer. Even if I continue to buy these ReAction figures and complete my collection, Leech is going to feel like just this hole in the collection that's always there. Alright, 3 left. So here is Scareglow. So this here is a translucent version of Scareglow, so you can really see that on his head there. It's just clear plastic, which is pretty cool. The standard release of Scareglow, I think he was just painted white. I'm not sure if the other ReAction figure glows in the dark, because the vintage Scareglow and basically every version of Scareglow that has come out since, they do glow in the dark. I don't know that this guy would. It doesn't look like he glows in the dark just based on the kind of plastic they used. But I think the standard release one probably would have. But anyway, I think he looks pretty cool in this clear plastic. And then we've get. So here's Hordak. So I mentioned he was coming. So he is the leader of the evil horde, the third faction. And this one is based off of his cartoon look. The vintage Hordak action figure had like a darker color scheme where he was like black instead of blue, and his face just wasn't so kind of cute and friendly. This animated version is just he looks more cuddly than the vintage toy version. Anyway, I think this is cool. I like this look for him. And you'll notice here, this is kind of neat. On the card art there, he's pointing his arm cannon at you, so his arm was actually like a weapon itself. He sometimes appeared that way, but not consistently. So here in the package for an accessory, you can see he's actually got a whole extra arm in the package. So I can choose to pop one of his arms off and give him the gun arm as an accessory if I choose to. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so the last ReAction figure that I have in here. And I almost didn't buy this one. I put everything in my cart and I was like, you know what? Maybe I will go back and get this one. So this is the combined version of Modulok. So, you can't break this figure apart like you could with the vintage line. But this is him in his kind of standard look. This is how he appeared, I think, in the cartoon. And generally this is how kids displayed him, is with the two heads. And so he's almost like a weird centaur with the multiple legs. And I thought this guy was kind of cool because his card is pretty unique. This one looks the most like the vintage packaging from the 80s with the exploding red rocks. So I just thought this was kind of cool because it looked kind of different. I'm kind of tempted to, maybe even if I open all these guys up, I might leave him carded and pinned to the wall just because he is kind of unique and kind of neat looking. But who knows? So anyway, that is my big haul of Masters of the Universe ReAction figures. The only other thing I have in the box here is a t-shirt, which just in my last video I reviewed some Masters of the Universe Origins figures, and I was wearing a Triclops t-shirt that I'd ordered from Big Bad Toy Store. And I basically ordered that as a test to see if I'd get the sizing right. And the reason I went with Triclops is because his shirt was brown, and brown is like my favorite color. But, as I said earlier, Merman is my favorite character. So once I knew that I had the right size picked out, I ordered another one of these t-shirts that have these Masters of the Universe characters. So yeah, I went with Merman. I think this looks pretty awesome. So keep your eyes peeled for this. I'll probably be wearing it in my next video. But yeah, very cool. But anyway, now that we've seen all the figures in the packaging, let's take a look at them outside of the packaging. Well, once I started opening these guys, I was just having too much fun and I couldn't stop. So I just kind of went nuts and opened up all of them, including the Modulok that I was debating on keeping carded, as well as my Mantennas and my other Beastman, and even my Merman, which was the first ReAction figure I bought, and I've had him pinned to my wall for years. But yeah, I just opened up everybody. So this is my entire Masters of the Universe ReAction figure collection right now. And when I first sat down to do this video, I kind of thought maybe we'll do, a little focus on each character. I'll bring each one of them on screen one at a time, and I'll do a comparison to the old figure and all that stuff. But with the amount of figures here, that would just take too long. And I think just the intro to this video was already like a half hour just to unbox the stuff. So maybe we'll just keep this video short. We'll just take a quick look at each guy. We're not going to bother with any comparisons or anything. But so you see here for Mechanic, as I mentioned earlier, his neck does come out. There is a little lever on the back here, so you can push that up or down. For me, it's probably easier to just pull his head like that. The knob's a little finicky. But, so yeah, that's pretty cool. And he comes with his club there. Here's Leo Faker with that black and green makeup around his eyes. So he's got his orange version of the power sword. Very cool. And as I mentioned before, the ReAction figures that just have those 5 points for articulation, arms, legs, head, and that's about it. So here's my translucent Orko. I don't know if you can see that a little bit better now, but how you can see all kind of the inner workings of the figure because the plastic is see-through. And even though Orko is just supposed to be in a little cloak, his legs are still separated, so you can still make him walk a little bit, which is kind of cute. I think that's a first for Orko. He's got his little wand. Now, I didn't realize this. I've had these Mantenna figures for a while, and like Mechanic, he actually retains his action feature from the vintage toy. Doesn't work super well, but the vintage toy, his eyes would bug out of his head when you moved a lever on his back. So these Mantennas, there's a little lever on his head, and when you push it, his eyes, you'll see his eyes come in and out ever so slightly. So it's subtle, but it still kind of works. So this version of Mantenna is based off of the vintage toy, whereas this version of Mantenna is based off of his look in the Filmation cartoon. So here is Shadow Weaver, like Orko, even though she's supposed to be in a cloak. She does have that split on her leg, so she's kind of got like a pantsuit on, I guess. So she looks pretty cool. She's got her magic wand as well. Evelyn, she doesn't look great, like the face and stuff. It's kind of hard to take one of these female figures and make them still like pretty when you sculpt them in this format. Most 3 3/4 inch figures are not sculpted to be all that pretty, at least not the vintage ones. Like I think they can do some pretty nice Star Wars figures nowadays, but when you look at the vintage Joes and stuff, yeah, not so great. And so Evelyn kind of suffers from that a little bit, but it's still a pretty cool figure. Nice sculpt on the armor, and she's got her little wand accessory as well. So, now they're probably all going to go down like dominoes. But so here's Anti-Eternia He-Man. Again, he's in that translucent black plastic, so you can sort of see through him a little bit. I don't know if maybe if I shine a light through him, you get that effect. But yeah, so he's pretty cool. He's also got his translucent. Is the Power Sword translucent? I think it's just solid black, actually. All right, so there we go. Stinkor. He went. Oh, there we go. So there's Stinkor, the Skunk Man, with his little stink gun. So he looks pretty cool. And the vintage Stinkor was just a repaint of Merman. So sure enough, these guys do share some similarities. They've got the same head sculpt. Looks pretty cool. So here's my Merman. It's kind of a thrill to finally open this guy after all these years. He looks great. And then the translucent one. So you can see they're slightly different. It's kind of hard to tell at a distance, but yeah, it's kind of cool. I almost wish they used like a different color, yellow and orange on him too, to make him just a little bit more, distinct. But anyway. All right, now let's take a look at the Modulocks. So here are these guys. I know earlier I said I think he had his own unique claws and stuff, but I think these figures look... Oh, you know what I was just about to say? I think they're the same from the neck down. They've got unique heads, obviously, with his googly eyes. But just when I flipped them around, I realized, oh no, they're not the same. Because this guy's got all these ridges on his arms and his legs that this guy does not have. He's got these little fins. So yeah, at a glance, I thought they were the same. But no, they're pretty different. And then this here is the combined version of Modulock. So you can see he's got 2 heads on there. He's got the bug-like legs with the ridges in the back, with the other guy's legs in the front. So yeah, the vintage figure, this guy would have all come in components, and you would snap this guy together yourself. So yeah, this is kind of fun. And you know what? I'm embarrassed to admit, I'm actually tempted to go back and see if they have the green appendaged one on sale. I'm really enjoying these guys, and I kind of want to add him to my collection as well. So here is the star of the show, He-Man. So I still agree with my initial assessment that He-Man, like, this is not the format that was meant for him. He looks better when he's, short and squatty and muscular, but this is still a fun figure. It's nice to have a He-Man in this format. I do have plenty of short, squatty He-Man in my collection, but, I've also got Funko Pops and other various things. So why not have him in this 3 3/4 inch scale? So Beastmen, so I've got 3 of them now. So this is the one I had carded. And so he's got this solid red armor. His face is this kind of stark white. And when I bought the blind box Beastman and I opened him up, I thought, oh, this is a duplicate of the figure I already had. It wasn't until like a little while later I realized, oh, these guys are actually pretty different. Like the paint scheme is different pretty much from head to foot. So, it's the same figure sculpted, but they were unique. Now, this is the new Beastman that came with all the accessories, which I did not open the accessories. They're still in the bubble. But this figure is a lot closer to him, at least as far as the painting on the face goes. And then he's got that yellow armor. So, yeah, very cool. I've also got my 3 Skeletors back here. So this is the black and gray one that I had previously. And now I've got this one here with the white and the dark blue body. And then there is the translucent version as well. Then I just knocked down Hordak over here. So here is Hordak, leader of the evil horde. And his arm is here. I'll maybe give it a try, see how easy it is to pop out. Yeah, came out pretty easily. You pop this in there. There you go. There he is with his cannon arm. So that's pretty cool. Then we've got Grizzlor. So this guy's kind of goofy looking. This one is also available on Big Bad in a couple of different colors, kind of like with his buddy Mantenna here. You can get him in his toy colors or his cartoon colors. I think this is the toy color version that I went with. The other one I think has some more like maybe yellow straps or something on him. And this figure, like even though I'm thinking about going back and getting the other color Modulocks and maybe some of the other characters I missed like Ram Man, I don't know if I like this Grizzlor enough to go out and get him with the yellow straps, but who knows. And then I think lastly, we've got Scareglow. And this guy is a favorite to a lot of people. And this sculpt is really cool. I love the way the painted skull face looks on this translucent, clear, dare I say, crystal skull. And he's the only one in the line that's got a cape. And it's this kind of vinyl cape. This is what you used to see on those vintage Star Wars figures, like your old Obi-Wan and your old Jawas would have stuff like this. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, then you just get kind of the black on there to show the bones. But yeah, really nice paint job on this guy. He's perhaps like, if you just look at these guys objectively, this guy might be the coolest looking figure here. He's not necessarily the character that I have the biggest attachment to, but yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, oh man. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with this collection. And yeah, I'm definitely thinking of going back for a few more. And I guess before we go, I'm just going to bring old Hot Rod out here again. So you can see just now how seamless some of these toy lines, which never would have made sense to play with together when you were a kid, and now they can hang out, pretty seamlessly. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my unboxing of my Masters of the Universe ReAction figures. I'm pretty stoked about all these figures. It's not often that I get this many figures in one chunk. I'm a little embarrassed to say it's not uncommon for me to get like say 5 figures at a time, like especially when a new wave of Marvel Legends come out, I'll just buy them all or something. But this here I think is about 17 or 18 figures or something. So that's a pretty big haul. Like if I was a kid and I got 17 or 18 new figures from one toy line, it would be like, the ultimate Christmas or something. So yeah, this is pretty awesome to get all these figures in one shot like this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching me open them up and show them to you. So if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, I'll see you again soon with another video. Until then, ciao.